Hi there, welcome to iTWireTV. Today we're speaking with Richard Scott, the Group Vice President for the APAC region for Informatica. How are you, Richard? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, great. Thanks, David. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So I guess, Richard, tell me a bit more about Informatica and what the company does, what you do. Yeah, what's the story?
Sure. Yeah, look, I think a lot of people might have know of Informatica, but in simple terms, you'd say someone at a barbecue. Where Informatica provides the end-to-end plumbing for data for organisations. We've really evolved over the last number of years to become, the enterprise cloud data management leader. And our mission right now is to help our customers, whether they be government or enterprise, to bring their data to life. One of the things we've done is built the industry's first or currently only intelligent data management cloud, which offers up to 250 microservices for our organizations to be able to really work through that data management journey. Today we have around 5,000 clients worldwide. About 85 of those are in the Fortune 100 companies. One of the things we do a bit different from everyone else, apart from having this really unique data management cloud, is we've infused artificial intelligence and ML to help data practitioners really manage their data environment in an optimal way. Today, in the last few months, we're averaging 53 trillion critical transactions a month.
Wow.
To give you a sense of the volumes of data, which is just, as everyone knows, is just doubling and tripling constantly.
Yes, no, that's impressive. They're big numbers. No, thank you for that explanation. So I understand you recently did a Chief Data Officer survey that found 60% of data executives plan to increase their data management investment and 70% aim to increase cloud spending this year. So where do you think the biggest investments are going to be made?
Well, it's interesting. Three things sort of stood out for the Australian Chief Data Officers. One that people would think would be really prevalent was data privacy and security, but that was only actually 28%, so definitely strong, but not the most important. Two areas that we're seeing personally, but really came out strongly in the survey were 40% of Australian CDOs were focusing on data sharing. A lot of people refer to it as data democratization. And that's really, how do you safely allow people to kind of shop and use data for data they're allowed to access, and at all times that data steward kind of knows what's happening. The second area, which is probably the highest area of focus, which we are also seeing as a strong trend amongst our customers, is data governance. And it's not necessarily considered the coolest area of data management, but it's really fundamental around roles and responsibilities, policies and processes, all the way up to the board for a kind of commercial organization and to senior leadership, in government organizations. So 43% of organizations looking to, invest in data governance, and many of them for the first time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess, what do you think are the benefits that they're aiming to achieve by transitioning to cloud-based data management like yours?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was reflecting 10 years ago, I was working on some of the first cloud strategies and thinking forward. And, back then the promise of cloud was that, we would solve the kind of spaghetti sprawl of technology. I feel that, 10 years on, we're probably still facing kind of cloud spaghetti. And so that cloud data management is a real opportunity to get that. Many organizations are in multi-cloud, multi-hybrid, and it's a real opportunity and a benefit to be able to try to deal with the sprawl of cloud or that multi-hybrid environment. I think that's one of the biggest ones. The other one is really, seeking to achieve a true ROI from, what they're doing with their data. Many people know they have data, it's sitting there, it's very interesting, but what's the return on the investment of the data? So how do I extract value? I think they're kind of two of the biggest areas.
Yeah, right. No, very true. And I suppose if you would give some advice, what should organizations be looking for when it comes to a modern data management solution?
Yeah, look, I think you want to look at Cloudnative and a very open platform, because you are no matter what intention of the organization, say I'm going to work with this one cloud or this one data warehouse, you do end up with sprawl. I think one of the issues for organizations is the cloud architecture. At a very high level, it's an issue, but also in data management, it's a really can become a significant issue. So that sort of low code environment is also really important, because what you don't want to be doing is building a fragile or a brittle data management environment. So that cloud native, low code, multi kind of capability to be hybrid and multi-cloud, I think is, really the ideal scenario.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I appreciate that. And I guess all this move to, I guess what's underpinning it is organizations wanting to be data driven. I guess, what do you think is behind that? Why do you think organizations are becoming more data driven?
Yeah, I think there's a number of opportunities. There's productivity improvements. A lot of organizations are trying to seek significant advances in productivity. That also kind of leads into competitiveness. And also we find customer acquisition is also a big theme. They're also trying to solve some big problems. So some of the big problems we see, particularly post-COVID, supply chain optimization is, some of our largest customers are really focused on data management projects around that area. Customer and student experience. So think about, we've got 40,000 Chinese and 40,000 Indians returning to the Australian education market. How do you manage students from onboarding right through to manage them as alumni? And then, other clients just have these huge environments. They're looking for at scale kind of enterprise transformation and kind of modernization. So, there's some of the areas.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I suppose going back to talking about cloud, I suppose, where do you see the biggest improvement that can be made through using cloud-based data management solutions?
Look, we're seeing, customers finding up to, it's 25% reduction in cloud spending by having those really clever cloud architectures. And, really becoming a data-driven organization presents lots of new growth opportunity for people to really take down their cloud costs, to really improve the openness of their environments, and to really elevate the productivity, not only of their data environments, but of their businesses overall.
Okay, no, that's terrific. There's some great reasons. But I suppose on the other side, what are the danger for Australian organisations who don't invest in data management and cloud this year?
I think one of the biggest ones that we find, as a concern amongst our customers is governance and privacy issues. As I mentioned earlier, it's a big priority, but many organisations do not have strong governance and don't really have control of how they're managing things like PII or GDPR policies that exist. And even though GDPR is a European policy, many Australian organisations still touch upon that. And that really comes down to people, process, and technology. So that's that. And there's the fines, particularly for GDPR, are significant. In some cases, in the hundreds of millions. So there's huge requirements there. You think about also government legislation. So we deal in the financial services industry. The APRA regulations, are really kind of fundamental, and we've seen, significant fines happen in that market as well. And other regulated industries, obviously, need to meet and maintain their requirements for those legislations. Competitiveness, as I've mentioned earlier, is a significant opportunity. To, how do I access customers faster? How do I access them more intelligently? Dealing with that low productivity. So, some companies will use 100 people to do what a piece of technology can do, and what is the right way to go about that. And really, there's some of the things that people are dealing with. And I talked earlier about getting value out of your data. If you're not getting value out of the data, what's the purpose of having it? So that coming back to that kind of low productivity of the data itself.
Okay, no, that's really interesting. I appreciate that. I suppose Richard, if I can ask specifically, can you give some examples of how Informatica is addressing the data challenges and the needs of Australian organisations?
Yeah, absolutely. So just two customers that we are working with today, La Trobe University is a really forward-looking, forward-thinking university that they really got ahead of the curve of the return to Australia for students. They're using our kind of customer 360 mastering capability to really manage that recruitment, onboarding, management of a student's life, and managing the alumni environment. The American market's very mature with the alumni. We're not so mature, but there's a significant business and opportunity and growth opportunity by how good a job you do with that alumni. So that's kind of one example. And then, Kmart in Australia use our product 360 platform, and they are an omni-channel business. We know them as their stores, but they're now a significant online business. And I think that the numbers were they've seen a quadruple of their online sales after they're able to master all of their product data. They're seeing a 3-time increase in team productivity. And they've actually been able to move from purely B2C or business to customer to now be also servicing business to business. So it's been a significant opportunity for them. And that really speaks to some of the themes that I was talking about.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. I appreciate that. You've been really insightful, Richard, and these have been exciting things you're talking about and great opportunities for businesses. I guess, what else, if I can ask, what else is on your mind? What have you been thinking about? Or, what else can you, what would you like to share about Informatica and data?
Yeah, look, I think the thing that's probably, we have been in the market a long time. I think a lot of people don't maybe realize that we spent, several $1 billion completely rewriting our products. So we haven't uplifted our products into the cloud. We've actually rewritten every product. And even though we rewrote every product, we're still seen to be as a market leader in each of our domain areas. And I think that's very exciting. I think as well, because we're a consumption-based, cloud-only business, does not have to be an expensive journey. We really are looking at this idea of plan big, start small, as what cloud gives you as an ability to be flexible. And so we're working with lots of customers that are really doing that MVP or minimum viable product type approach, and then building that into full production. And I think that's an incredibly exciting change in the cloud data management space, and enables people to really prove out their theories, that prove out the potential for return on investment, and really work and learn as they go. We have one client who recently did an MVP. By the end of the MVP, the entire team was completely trained. All of their data was in the environment and was ready to go, and all they had to decide was yes or no. And thankfully they decided yes. But so there's a very different approach to how companies can engage with cloud. It isn't the, again, the 10-year ago story where I'm saying I'm signing up to sort of X many dollars today. I can actually say I'm going to actually take a really iterative approach to engagement. And I think that's probably one of the most exciting areas. And then coming back to where I opened, if it's data governance, you can start an iterative way. If it's data sharing, an iterative way. If it's large scale integration, you can start in an iterative way. So I think that's probably one of the things I'd like to call out.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I appreciate that. That's been really insightful and really helpful. I appreciate your time, Richard, and I'm convinced. Let's do it.
Thanks so much, David. I really enjoyed talking to you.
No, thank you. So that's Richard Scott, Group Vice President and Managing Director for Australia and New Zealand for Informatica. Thank you, Richard. That's been great.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.